BattleBit has a lot of things to consider when it comes to building a loadout. Things like, what weapon should you use? How do you pair it nicely with attachments? What about your class and its gadgets? How do they factor into the experience? And above all else, will this loadout you've crafted get you the XP you need to rank up fast? It can all be overwhelming, which is why we're here today, to provide an answer. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be going over my recommended Jack of all trades loadout for newcomers to BattleBit Remastered. So folks, I want to preface this video with a bit of a caveat before we get into the loadout itself. This is really designed to be the jack of all trades for new players to the game. A real master of none that will nonetheless have an answer for most situations you face in BattleBit. I wanted to craft a loadout that ticked off a whole bunch of boxes, including having a laser beam primary weapon that was easy to operate in infantry combat, that had an answer to vehicular threats, sported the right mix of mobility and armor protection, had the utility to assist the wider team where needed, and of course had the capacity to absolutely relentlessly print experience points to rank up with. But ironically, creating such a build is not going to appease to all playstyles in the game, and that's okay. If anything, this is a great loadout to use as a launchpad from as you get better at the game and begin to explore more specialized classes and different playstyles. But for those of you who are green around the gills, stick around because I've got a loadout for you all today that is quite the treat to learn the game with, and earn XP while you're doing so. Starting off with the class, we're going to be running the Medic. Now, I know, how original, Cammy. Let's pick arguably the most overpowered class in the game right now that can heal itself. How original. And look, you're not wrong. It's a bit cliche of me here, but there's also no denying it, guys. The Medic's ability to heal itself definitely affords it a lot of flexibility to a new player between engagements as they learn the flow of the game. And it also lets you top up on health between fights while you work on becoming a better shooter. Don't hate the pick, folks. It's just the way the game is balanced right now, and it would be silly of me to suggest otherwise just to be quirky or different. As you learn the game as a new player and the kinds of angles you can take damage from, having that self-heal ability will go a long way in keeping you in the action for longer. In addition, the Medic's passive ability to, let them bandage faster means that you'll get much more breathing room in responding to bleeding damage that you'll take. But beyond selfish reasons here, folks, the Medic class is also one of the best classes in the game for earning XP and moving up through the ranks fast. Reviving a player immediately awards you 400 XP, and then any healing XP you get on top of that is an added bonus. And given the chaos of BattleBit and just the gameplay flow, there is never going to be a lack of opportunity to revive or heal your allies, helping to get the team up and running and back in the fight. By picking the Medic, not only are you keeping yourself topped up and in the fight, but you're also going to be able to earn all the XP you could possibly need to rank up just by supporting your team. You don't even need to kill a guy. So that's why we're basing our loadout off of the combat medic kit today. Not to mention that the improved bandaging speed also applies to any revives that you do as well. So outright, we are already making a very solid choice with just the class that we've picked in not only having a meaningful impact on the battlefield, but also how much XP you can just relentlessly farm, even if your aim and trigger discipline is not quite dialed in yet. But speaking of dialing in on our trigger finger and our aim, we're going to need to find a starter weapon that has got enough firepower behind it to actually do some damage while being incredibly adaptable and reliable in the field for multiple engagement ranges. And for this, folks, I don't think we really need to go past the M4A1. While it deals slightly less damage than the AK-74, it's a weapon that, out of the gate, is such a pleasure to use and comes with a myriad of balanced stats that make it a solid pick even for the less skilled shooters out there. The recoil pattern in particular is mostly vertical, which makes it extremely easy to tame with some practice, and we can further improve that with some attachments here. It's a good mix of damage per round and fire rate, which collectively makes it a weapon that can hold its own in close quarters, while also being able to reach out to slightly longer ranges and show them what for. It's a true workhorse of a weapon for sure. And as we mentioned before, once you start scoring some kills with it, you can actually start to improve it even further. My recommended attachment setup for this laser beam M4 loadout is the tactical muzzle attachment, the vertical grip, the quick aim magazine, the laser sight, and a red dot sight, or should you be feeling a little bit bold, let's say, the slip 2x sight sight with a red dot top-mounted sight. More on that in a few seconds, but the combination of the tactical muzzle and the vertical grip really does transform the M4A1 into what can only be described as a fucking point-and-click adventure. You point this thing at the person you want to delete, and it's well and truly game over for that player with kind of very minimal effort from yourself to do so. It really reduces the vertical recoil on the M4A1 without impacting the horizontal recoil kick all that much, which gets you the end result of what you see on screen here, aka a very reliable and accurate assault rifle. Now, unfortunately, some of these attachments are unlocked a little later in the M4A1's progression tree, so some early game alternatives that you can run include the compensator muzzle or the B25 URK grip. But ultimately, if you're looking for the easiest setup possible when it comes to managing recoil control, this is easily the combination of muzzle and grip attachments that you should be using. When it comes to attachments, yeah, normally I'm just going to slap a red dot sight on this weapon because I'm normally the kind of player that likes to get in close and play in a close quarters domain. But with this particular setup, the M4A1 does actually become somewhat viable with a slip 2x optic, which means that when you do start to deal with slightly longer combat distances and engagement ranges, the sight can actually do wonders for you. Someone in my Twitch chat a few streams ago called out this particular combination to me, and I was gobsmacked by how effective it was. So don't sleep on the slip sight if you are looking for some slightly more medium range engagement preference. It does go a long way despite having a slower aim down sights time. Now, of course, we are going to need a trusty sidearm just in case we get caught in a pinch when using this loadout. We are going to do a full review on the two default sidearms really soon, but I've opted to run with the MP443 here today. Given that this pistol does come with a slightly higher rate of fire by comparison to its M9 counterpart, it does make it a touch more forgiving when you're panicking and you might be missing shots in those high stress situations. I'm also running the short suppressor, a red dot sight and a laser sight on the MP443 here. It's not the greatest sidearm in the game, not by any stretch, but for a new player who's looking for something rather dependable as a starting point, this is the pick and one that I would recommend going with. Obviously, one of our gadget slots is going to run the med pack because it's the bread and butter of the medic class, and well, the only thing you can equip in this slot anyway. But with the secondary gadget slot, we're going to wake up and choose violence with the C4. I've got to be honest, it feels weird to be able to equip C4 on a medic class, but it's possible here, and it's a gadget I recommend you actually take for a couple of reasons on this particular new player class, right? For one, it lets you do some pretty wacky stuff to vehicles should the opportunity present itself, and I'm not one to personally pass up an opportunity to do some cheeky shenanigans to an unsuspecting vehicle, so why the hell wouldn't you take it? But in addition, the C4 on this class actually lets you manipulate the environment around you just that little bit more. Do you want to breach a building from a new angle that might not be being watched by enemies? You can now. Want to crowd control the shit out of an enemy team that is hiding on the other side of a fence from you? You got it. Want to simply create some new movement opportunities on maps that are heavily built up? Guess what? C4 is there to back you in. It's a very versatile gadget that just adds an insane amount of utility to the loadout and gives you more ways to earn XP as well. So we're going to take C4 on this build. Also, for more crowd control opportunities, we're going to be running the frag grenades as well, because getting those juicy multi-kills with a well-placed frag grenade is a dopamine hit that even a medic shouldn't miss out on. The last little detail behind this build is the armor choice that we're going to make here. For this particular build, we're going to want to make sure that we're taking the medium armor and helmet options. While yes, running light armor with no helmet does make you extremely quick with your movement, the benefit that comes from having a little bit more HP while being a new player while you learn the game is invaluable. As a new player, there's a good chance that you won't quite understand how to take advantage of, the mobility that comes from light armor in the game, at least not to its full extent, and on the flip side of that, by equipping heavy armor, sure, you'll be able to tank more damage, but the slower movement of the heavier armor can also be very restricting in of itself and actually leave you caught out in more situations than you may care to admit. So the medium armor is an excellent middle ground here. It also lets you carry a little bit more ammunition than the light armor, which, given that you aren't probably going to be shooting a very high accuracy percentage as a new player anyway, it's a good thing to ensure that you aren't spending all of your time looking for ammo crates to resupply from if worse comes to worse. weapons. Overall, from top to bottom, the build features an incredibly reliable primary weapon on a class that sports both great offensive and utility capabilities that will also let you earn a ton of experience just by playing the game in both a supportive and offensive manner. And for me, it's the class that I would recommend every new player run as they first get into BattleBit Remastered. But folks, with all that said, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my recommendations, or do you think there's another class out there that trumps this one? Leave it in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear all your guys' thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to backhand the like button, guys. The support on the channel as of late has been astronomical, and I thank you all for it. But the majority of people that are watching my BattleBit content at the moment are not subscribed, so if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button, stay up to date with all future uploads and content, and also check out my Twitch stream and other social media links down below, guys. It's going to be great to see you guys over there as well. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.